Courtney, and we are reading in our science book on page 246, section 9.2, Birds, Masters of Flight. Have you ever watched a blue jay pester a cat? In order to protect its nest from possible danger, the blue jay swoops down over the surprised cat and shrieks in mock attack. With a flap of its wings, it swerves away and flies up out of reach. It dives again and again, making the cat reach out as if to bat it out of the sky. After assuring that its nest is safe, the blue jay leaves the bewildered cat and flies up and out of sight. Created to fly. The blue jay is only one of over 8,600 different kinds of birds. Birds are warm-blooded vertebrates that have feathers, wings, and two scale-covered legs. All birds lay eggs. Almost all birds fly. Birds are equipped with some amazing body parts that are different from those of any other animal. These body parts work together to give birds the ability to fly. For centuries, men have tried to fly like birds, but without true success. Even today's airplanes cannot match the quiet precision of a flying bird. Lightweight feathers. When God created birds, He gave them the lightweight feathers that insulate or protect the birds from cold by trapping air next to the skin, as well as keep the birds in the air. A flight feather, a wing feather or tail feather, is made of hundreds of hair-like barbs connected to a stiff hollow quill. Each barb is held in place by hundreds of barbules, which connect together with tiny hooks. When the barbules are hooked together, they form a smooth web that causes the feather to push the air like a fan. The entire feather turns and changes shape in response to varying air currents during the flight. Because the air cannot pass through the feather's fan-like web, it has to pass around or under the feather. God made flight feathers work together so well that the air current has no choice but to lift the bird in the direction it wants to fly. Not all feathers on a bird are flight feathers, however. If you have ever touched a pet parakeet or canary, you know that the feathers covering its head, neck, and body are soft compared to the feathers on its wings and tail. The softer feathers, or body feathers, do not have the tiny hooks that interlock the barbules of flight feathers into place. Hooks are found only on the tips of these feathers. Because the barbules do not interlock into place, body feathers are softer and fluffier than flight feathers. Down feathers are even softer because they have no hooks at all. These small, fluffy feathers lie underneath the body feathers and flight feathers to form an extra layer of insulation for extreme cold. Because feathers are very light, they take much beating from the wind and frequently get torn or ruffled out of shape. Many times, the barbs in the flight feathers become unhooked and are no longer useful. Therefore, the bird must regularly clean and straighten its feathers to put them back where they belong. By grasping the base of the quill of each feather with its beak and sliding its beak along the barbules to the tip of the feather, the bird zips the barbs and hooks back into place. When feathers wear out, the new feathers grow to take their place. Air-filled bones. God gave birds a very light but powerful body structure that enables them to get into the air. Most birds have air-filled bones which are strengthened by tiny cross ribs from within. Because most bird bones are almost hollow, it is unusual for a 10-pound bird to have a skeleton that weighs no more than 10 ounces. Although the bird's skeleton is light, it is very strong because many of its bones, the backbones, breastbones, and ribs, are fused together into one solid mass. This stationary mass of bones provides a foundation for the strenuous movement of the wings. Powerful breast muscles. The breast muscles, which are usually the heaviest part of a bird, provide the power needed to move the wings through the air. Compared to a bird's other muscles, the breast muscles are extremely large in order to give the bird sufficient strength to lift its frame into the air. Unless these muscles are strong enough to support the beating of the wings, when a bird attempts to leave the ground, the bird is unable to fly. Designer wings. Each bird has wings shaped to suit its lifestyle. Birds with long, pointed wings, like the swift, usually fly quickly and almost continuously. The peregrine falcon, another bird with pointed wings, is known for its air diving speed of 220 miles per hour or more. Ground birds such as turkeys, pheasants, and quail have short, rounded wings which allow them to fly almost straight up in the air for a quick escape from danger. Eagles, hawks, condors, and other heavier birds of prey catch onto air currents with their long, broad wings that send them soaring effortlessly through the sky. Amazing migrators. Birds are fascinating animals which have the rare privilege of flight. Because most birds are able to fly, they often travel hundreds of miles as they search for food. You may notice a great variety of birds in your neighborhood in the spring, when the days are growing warmer. Many of these birds migrate to the south for winter and then return to build nests, lay their eggs, and take care of their young. Some may be going farther north and are resting for only a couple of days in your neighborhood. Others may decide to move into your backyard, nearby woods, or the tree next door. As you investigate the birds in your neighborhood, learn to recognize the ones that will stay for the summer. Fascinating birds. Numerous birds throughout the world have their own unique characteristics. Many of them you may never see unless you go to a zoo or visit the regions where they live. Flightless ostriches. The largest bird in the world is the ostrich. At about 300 pounds, the ostrich is too heavy to fly, but its strong legs allow it to flee from danger at speeds of 40 miles an hour or more. The ostrich lives on the African plains in flocks of 5 to 50. The female ostrich lays its 3-pound eggs in a community nest which is carefully guarded by 3 to 5 females and 1 male ostrich. The females take turns sitting on the eggs during the day. The male sits at night. When the babies hatch from their eggs, they are quite helpless, but in only a month they are able to run as fast as their parents. Some ostriches in captivity are saddled and ridden like horses. Although they can bear the weight of a man, they tire easily and often become bad-tempered. It is not unusual for them to peck or kick. Ostriches usually eat grass. However, they have been known to eat almost anything they can slide down their long necks. Relatives of the ostrich are the rheas. In South America and the emus and casaries in Australia and New Guinea. Colorful birds of paradise. Many male birds throughout the world find their mates by showing off their bright colors and fancy plumes. Few can match the strange beauty of the birds of paradise, which are hidden in the forest of New Guinea near Australia. A variety of vivid blues, yellows, oranges, reds, and greens mark the 40 different kinds of these ornamental birds. Some have large yellow or orange tail plumes that double their length. Others have pointed neck feathers, spreading breast shields, flowing capes, or long head streamers that show brilliantly in the sun. During mating season, the male birds dance for hours on a limb as they display their bright colors. Many of them hang upside down so they can better display their tail plumes. Unique hornbills. When their curved bills and black, white, and gray feathers, the hornbills in Africa would never be considered beautiful. However, these plain-looking birds with long, strange bills have the unusual habit of locking themselves into their nest. During mating season, the hornbill couple finds a hole in a tree that is large enough for the mother's 17-inch long body and for her chicks that will soon come. When they find a suitable place to nest, the hornbills fly to the river bank to scoop up mud with their beaks. They then return to the bill to build a wall that will cover the whole of their nest. When the new wall is almost finished, the mother hornbill squeezes in as the father flies off for more mud. The two work together to plaster the hole until there is only a narrow crack left. When the wall is complete, the mother lays her eggs and sits and waits. The father keeps himself busy hunting for food, which he gives to the mother by inserting it through the crack with his beak. The mother hornbill will not leave the walled-up nest until its babies hatch and grow so large that they need more food than the father can provide alone. Only then will she break open the wall and let herself out. As soon as the mother leaves the nest, the baby hornbills work together to close the wall again, leaving only a crack for food. For 3 more weeks, they wait for the food that their parents continue to insert through the crack. Only when they are ready to fly on their own do the babies let themselves out. As the young birds fly from the nest, the parents encourage them to branch nearby with loud squawks. Before the family leaves the nest completely, the mother checks to see that it is empty. Strange-looking shoebills. Because of its broad bill and its oversized head and its long, skinny legs, the shoebill, or whale-headed stork, is often considered the most unusual-looking bird in the world. This comical gray bird rests its heavy bill on its breast as it looks for frogs and fish in the swamp water of northeastern Africa. When it spies a fish swimming near its scrawny legs, the shoebill lets its large head fall with such speed that the fish is in its massive mouth almost instantly. The bird's shoe-shaped bill is so big that the slippery fish cannot escape. Hovering hummingbirds. Perhaps the most unusual bird is the tiny hummingbird that buzzes outside your window with its speedy wings. The smallest of birds, the hummingbird weighs about a half ounce and lays eggs that weigh 1/10 of an ounce. You may have seen a hummingbird hover in mid-air as it sucks nectar from a flower or a bird feeder. Even though it may look as if it is perfectly still, it is beating its wings at a rate of about 50 beats a second. Unlike other birds, the hummingbird can fly backward and forward and even at a tilt. God made hummingbirds with special wings that make them the most maneuverable birds in the world. Egg watch. Birds lay eggs in variety of shapes, sizes, and places. If you find a bird egg in a nest, leave it alone. You may study wild bird eggs in the nest, but if you touch them, you may cause the mother to destroy them because of your scent. You can investigate how birds' eggs develop by studying some fertile chicken eggs, which you can purchase from a nearby farm or hatchery. A mother hen keeps her eggs warm and moist with her body. You will need an incubator that maintains a similar environment in order for the eggs to develop. The incubator should be heated to about 100 degrees to keep the eggs at the proper temperature. Place some water in the incubator to provide humidity so that eggs will remain moist enough to develop properly. It is also necessary to rotate or turn the eggs 3 or 4 times a day. A baby chicken is called an embryo when it begins to grow inside the eggshell. A chicken embryo takes 21 days to develop. You can record how the embryo develops by drawing what you see when you candle the egg or hold it up to a bright light. When you candle the egg before you place it in the incubator, you should see an egg yolk like your mother uses for cooking. After 3 days, you will probably notice that the embryo has begun to develop blood vessels. The eyes, ears, brain, and heart will have started to develop by this time. However, the embryo will be so tiny that these organs are difficult to recognize. At 7 days, you should be able to recognize a tiny chick with mouth, ears, nostrils, eyes, legs, and wings. You will probably notice that the eyes are huge compared to the rest of the body. The embryo is still very small inside the egg. A 10-day embryo looks more like a chick, even though it is only the size of a marble. You will notice that the eyelids are beginning to form over the eyes. You may see the embryo move about inside a special sac called the amniotic sac. This sac filled with a liquid which creates a protective cushion for the embryo. You may also notice tiny pimples beginning to form on the embryo's belly. These pimples will later form into feathers. At 14 days, the egg becomes quite crowded with the growing embryo, the blood vessels, and the amniotic sac. You will notice that the embryo has developed a beak. The embryo's eyelids have also have developed, but its eyes are probably closed. At 17 days, you will probably see only the outline of the embryo when you candle the egg. The embryo now has down feathers covering its body, and its legs and wings are beginning to grow larger. A 20-day embryo will begin to breathe from an air sac at one end of the egg. You may hear it chirp inside if you hold the egg to your ear. When you candle the egg, you will notice that the embryo fills almost the entire shell. You may be able to see the movement of the embryo as it breathes. When the embryo is fully developed, it will hatch the egg by pecking at the shell with its egg tube on its beak. After it makes a small hole, it slowly moves itself within the egg as it pecks a circle in the shell. When it punches through the shell all along the circle and kicks itself out of the egg, the new chick will probably rest a while after leaving its egg. Its down will be wet for a few hours. When it is dry, the chick will be fluffy and soft. Some birds do not hatch from their eggs, even though they may have developed on schedule. Sometimes a bird is too weak to survive outside its shell. Other times, the shell will be too thick, or the chick may have physically deformed because the egg was too dry or too cold during incubation. If a chick pokes a hole in the egg and then stops, you may be able to help it hatch by peeling away part of the shell. After the chicks hatch, you will need to put them in a brooder for 2 to 3 weeks. A brooder provides food, water, heat, and protection for baby birds. You can make a brooder by attaching a lamp to a wall of an aquarium. Cover the bottom of the aquarium with rough cloth to prevent the chicks from slipping on the glass. To help hold in the heat from the lamp, cover the half of the aquarium farthest from the lamp with a piece of cardboard. Also place a piece of cardboard down the center of the aquarium to divide the warm side from the cool side. Be sure to leave enough space for the chicks to pass underneath the divider. On the cool side of the aquarium, place a small jar lid filled with chicken starter mash and a shallow jar filled with water. You may need to put a small ball of aluminum foil in the water for a few days so the chicks will peck at the light reflecting. The temperature of the brooder should be about 95 degrees for the first several days. Later, drop the temperature to 90. If the brooder becomes too hot, you will notice the chicks crowd together on the cooler side away from the lamp. If the brooder is too cold, the chicks will huddle under the lamp. After a couple of weeks, the chicks should be placed in a more permanent home. To be sure they will receive proper care, you may find a farmer or someone in the country who will take them. And we'll stop there for our comprehension check.